At the end of April, I set out on a week-long birding and photography road trip that saw me leave Denver and head all the way down to southeastern Arizona. In this video, I'm stopping at the halfway point to check out one of the best-known birding spots in the entire world. It was my first time ever at Bosque Del Apache, and it did not disappoint. In a previous video, I chronicled my struggle to find the white-faced ibis in Colorado, but down here in New Mexico, that wasn't going to be an issue. It seemed no matter where I turned, there was white-faced ibis everywhere. I realized pretty quickly here on my first visit that I seriously underestimated the size of this place. And I was pretty disappointed that on this brief stop, I was barely going to be able to scratch the surface. But fortunately, on the way home from Arizona, I had 2 more visits here planned where I could really get down to business. It's a week later and I'm back, and I'm starting here at these wetlands, which are actually just outside the entrance of Bosque. And I was happy to see a good mix of shorebirds here, including this willet, a nice group of Wilson's phalarope, long-billed dowager, and what I believe was a big group of least sandpipers. If I'm wrong though, please let me know down in the comments. I didn't stick around in these wetlands too long because the skies overhead unfortunately looked pretty threatening, and I was pretty sure my night was going to be cut short. Once you enter the reserve, you basically have 2 options. You can either do the north loop, which was here to the left, or you could do the south loop, which was to the right. This worked out perfect for me. I figured I would focus tonight on the north loop, and then when I returned in the morning, I could explore the south loop. But as I started the north loop, I got a little distracted. I have been befriended by 2 other birders who are here looking for a yellow-crowned night heron. And they think they know where it might be, so they said to follow them. So this is what I'm doing. They are the car right here in front of me. And after a little bit of searching, we found 2 of them. After about 20 minutes, I moved on from the herons and wanted to explore the rest of the north loop. The skies above looked like it was about to rain at any minute. I stopped at a few places looking for warblers and found some, but it was mostly yellow-rumped. But I did have one last interesting find just as the rain was about to fall. in the distance is made for a very pleasant night temperature-wise, but light-wise, it's not good for photos, but it's not horrible either. But yeah, still a pleasant night. Early the next morning, fortunately, the storms had passed overnight and the skies were crystal clear. I started again at the same wetlands I had the day before, and because of the rain overnight, these wetlands were now bigger and wetter, I guess. Unfortunately, the rain didn't push out our species that had been there the night before, including this willet, and this group of least sandpiper. I was just happy to see them now in good light. It makes so much difference when you're doing photography and video. I then left the wetlands and decided to go into the main part of Bosque, and if you remember from earlier in the video, I did the north loop the night before, so this morning I was focused on the south loop. And how about we start the morning off with another white-faced ibis? And I'm usually pretty good at capturing egrets while hunting, but this guy right here was in pure statue mode. And I had seen a bunch of these guys far off, but finally got one up here close to the road. I'm assuming I don't need to put an identifier in here. And it wasn't the thousands of snow geese that usually make their home here in the winter, but it was cool to still see a few lingering around. And then in the next wetlands, I got redemption on my great egret. I told you, I'm good at catching these guys hunting. So I'm doing here with this sort of tree line along the left. It's been a good spot for warblers. So I'm kind of just driving like every 100 yards, stopping and getting out and listening to see if I hear anything other than like a Wilson's yellow or yellow-rumped. Of course, those are the prominent warblers that are here, but I'm always looking or listening for that unique one. But yeah, it's kind of what I'm doing right now. And this south loop feels more like kind of agriculture in, yeah, like habitat. And yeah, I mean, it's cool though. This place, again, is massive. And I'll never be able to fully explore in depth just in the short time that I'm here. But it has been a cool, what I'm calling sort of a discovery, kind of run through here the past 2 times. Doing the north loop and then doing the south loop. I could see people spending an entire day just in one little sector to really go through it thoroughly. But yeah, I can only do what I can do, and definitely a reason to come back. So let's continue on. And my warbler search was just turning up the usual suspects. But eventually, in the same tree that I was seeing all the warblers, I did start seeing some new species, including this Hammond's flycatcher. And not too far away from that was this black phoebe. As I neared the end of the south loop, I took one last look around and I saw, of course, something that I had to stop and shoot before I left. Okay, of course, we end on more of the white-faced ibis. It was so funny, in the video before this, I was struggling to find them, And now, since that video, I've seen hundreds and hundreds of them, almost to the point that I would even say it is the bird of spring 2025 to me. So, yeah, definitely love those guys, and awesome seeing so many of them down there in the Bosque? How do you pronounce it? I had always heard Bosque, but then I'd heard a few people say Bosque, and I thought, you know what? While I'm down there, I'm just going to ask the people that are there. And I heard both pronunciations. So I think it seems more commonly that it's Bosque, but I heard people say Bosque too. So anyways, there you go. I didn't get a definitive answer, but yeah, so I just wanted to jump in here after the video to go over a couple things about my experience down there and how I blew it on the way down there. So the plan was, yes, I was going to stop in there on my way down to Arizona, which I drove. And one of the main reasons I decided to do a road trip out of this and not just take an easy flight, down to Tucson, was specifically to go here. And when I was looking at hotels, I was bringing my dog with me. So I was looking at pet-friendly hotels. And the closest one that came up was in the town of Truth or Consequences, New Mexico. And I looked at the map and I was like, oh yeah, that looks pretty close. And it's not. So as I was driving down there, I realized, I was like, wait a minute, Truth or Consequences is nowhere near it's almost 60 miles away. So on the map, it looked close. And my whole plan was I was going to drive down there, go to my hotel in Truth or Consequences, kind of drop the dog off and get checked in at the hotel. And then I was going to go do photography all afternoon and evening in Bosque. And then I realized that would have cost me almost 200 miles in just going back and forth to the hotel. And so I was like, oh no, well, I'm not doing that. And I just was like, man, how did I screw this up? I thought it was so much closer. So that first bit of the video was me going through on that drive down. I just ended up going through it as I came to it down I-25 because I didn't want to go 60 miles past it, check into the hotel, come 60 miles back to it, and then 60 miles again to the hotel. And at that point, I had already been in the car about 8 hours. The dog, who did great in the car, but you could tell he was done with being in the car. So I was just like, oh no, we're not going to be able to really do much here. So I did drive through it just to kind of do a quick little hey, let me check this out. And then I was like, okay, well, I'm going to have to readjust my plans because, again, I was going to stay in Truth or Consequences on the way home. So I jumped online when I got to Arizona, a couple days later or the next day, and I was like, well, I need a hotel that's pet friendly. And I think most people stay in the little town there called Socorro, which does have hotels and is much closer. But I could not find one listed as pet friendly. And so I just thought, well, maybe let me call around. So I called a bunch of the hotels there, and they were all like, nope, we're not pet friendly. And then one guy was like, well, I think the Best Western might be. So give them a call. And on the website, it didn't really say that they were. So I was like, well, let me try. So I called Best Western in Socorro. They were pet friendly. So I moved my reservation to there on the way home so that I was much closer to Bosque, that night and then the next morning before I drove back to Denver. So that is what I did. And that is why the outings, those 2 days, the last two outings there, were a little bit more comprehensive. So that worked out on the way home. Having said that, the place is huge. It definitely caught me off guard. It was bigger than I thought. Whenever I think of a wildlife refuge, I always think of the Rocky Mountain Arsenal. And although I would say it was probably, I guess, maybe similar in size, maybe a little bit bigger, having two different auto loops, the north and south loop. It's just impossible to go in there and quickly kind of just check everything out. I mean, it's impossible. I mentioned in the video, I'm pretty sure you could go to just one little part of one of the loops and spend all day there. So that part was kind of a bummer. It was not a bummer in that the place was huge and it was awesome. Just a bummer that I did not have more time. to really, really dig in, which again leaves me being like, well, now I've definitely got a reason to go back. I would love to go back in the winter, obviously when all the Sandhill Cranes are there and all of the snow geese. That would be awesome. So something to look forward to at some point down the line. So that is it. Oh, actually, another kind of funny thing that happened was that the night that I went in on the way back, where I saw the yellow-crowned night heron, I was at that wetlands, before you actually go into the main refuge, and I had seen the willet and like the sandpipers there, and I was walking back to my car, and 2 other birders had parked and got out, and they said, "Oh, well, what's good out there?" And I was like, just shorebird stuff, willet, sandpiper, dowitcher." They're like, "Oh, okay, cool. Well, is the yellow-crowned night heron there?" And I was like, well, no, not that I saw." And I was like, "Why? Is one supposed to be?" And they were like, "Oh, well, no, it got reported in the main refuge." And I was like, "Oh, well, that's cool." And they were from here, so they knew their way around. At this point, I had not even really been in there at all, so I had no idea. So I was like, "Oh, well, like, where was it reported?" And they're like, "Well, why don't you hang out and wait for us, and we'll go find it together." And I was like, "Okay." It's not that I didn't want to team up. It was my first time really going in there. So I was really excited to go in there and just drive around and like check everything out. I wasn't really in the like mode of like, okay, I'm going to go in there with these very nice people who I just met, and we're going to really spend a long time trying to find this one bird, because I know how this goes. So I was like, "Oh no, this is not what I want to do right now." And of course, I'm such a nice person. And I was like, "Okay, sounds good." So I drove back down the road and went in and paid and kind of waited there at the main entrance for them to show up. And sure enough, they came by, and they're like, "Yeah, well, we think we know where it is, so we're just gonna go there now." And I was like, "Oh, this would be great." So we drove to this one spot where we thought maybe it could be the heron, and it wasn't there. And so she was like, "Well, I guess we're just going to have to really dig in on this one." And I'm like, "Yep, okay." So I followed them, and we went down this little road, and it looked like great, obviously, habitat for where a yellow-crowned night heron, which would definitely be rare for that area, to be sitting there. And sure enough, sitting on the trees where you saw in the video, there it was. So we did find the night heron pretty quickly, and we were looking at binoculars, and she was like, "Boy, it sure would be great if somebody had like a scope." And I'm like, "All right, fine, I'll get it out of the trunk." So I get the scope out and set it up, and which was awesome because it gave us great looks. And of course, other people come driving down. They're like, "Oh, do you have that in scope?" And I'm like, "Yep, I sure do. Come on." Take a look. So a bunch of people came, and everyone was taking a look through my scope. And then finally I was like, "Okay, well, I'm closing up shop here." And again, the weather that night, it looked like it was going to rain like any second. So I really just wanted to get and explore around the rest of that loop. So finally I did. And, but yeah, a little delayed, but it was cool to see the yellow-crowned night heron. Lifer for me, I had never seen one. And then, the rest of that night, the cloud cover was really bad. The photos weren't very good. It was really windy, and it kept kind of raining off and on. So it wasn't great for birds. But it was still cool to explore that north loop. And then, of course, the next day is when I came in and did the south loop and saw all that stuff with the great light that morning. Was awesome. And then, after that, I went back to the hotel, grabbed the dog, checked out, and then drove the long drive all the way back to Denver. And then got home that, Saturday afternoon. So it was great getting down there. But like I said, much, much more to be explored. And, I hope to get back there soon. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. That's kind of my time and stories from Bosque. And today is Global Big Day. So hopefully this video was a fun thing to watch Saturday morning to get you in the mood to go out and go birding today. Most of the people I know watching my channel probably are heading out today. So good luck out there with everything that you guys are going to see. I will be spending my Global Big Day in the Patch, which I have not been to in a minute. So that is my plan for a global big day. And of course, I'm sure I'll find my way to some other places too. But anyways, all the Arizona stuff is coming. It was massively good. It was so good. Got so many great encounters and lifers and just stuff that I wasn't even on my radar. Was able to get. So look forward to that stuff coming soon too. And yeah, until the next video, I will see you later. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.